Hey everybody, welcome to another HeroClix podcast. I'm your co-host Alec Munster, and today I'm in the studio with Ian Eggleston of Dial H.
Yo, 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 that is me, and I am in the studio. We're in the same room right now.
I flew all the way to Omaha, saw absolutely nobody because no one lives there, and Ian was just standing there. He's like, "Hey,
Yeah, I have the one house in Nebraska, actually. And, it's all right. Gets a little lonely at times, but that's where we host the regionals at. That's where all the Champion Clicks events are. They think it's at this store called Dragon's Lair, but that's actually just my basement.
where's Dragon's Lair? Oh, it's down there." And it's just like a little sign that says Dragon's Lair. Go into your basement.
Down there, that's like the only direction.
Down there.
Yeah, that's how it works. Nebraska's economy is interesting,
Did you watch Daddy Daycare?
One guy. Daddy Daycare a long time ago. Yeah, like forever ago.
Do you remember when they're looking for? I don't know if you remember this. Remember they're like searching for like daycares to put their son in, and there's that weird house that they go to, and the old woman's like, "We keep the children right around here," and then, like they open up like this like outdoor basement, and they're just and they just like start freaking out.
Oh my gosh.
That's what I
That's
thought
a deep
about.
hole, dude. That movie came out like 20 years ago, yeah.
Oh
I
yeah,
feel like
it's a great movie. That's what you say, right? You go, "We keep the HeroClix players right around here." You point to your
yeah, right past the boxes and shelves and absurd amounts of product in my house. It's like one of those doors that you say open sesame, but it's just like a wall of HeroClix.
some wall.
And yeah, everything all the magic happens behind there.
That's where your nationals are happening this year. Confirmed.
Confirmed. It's being moved to the one house in Nebraska's basement. Then
Right
if
when
you
you
don't know,
fly, you can't miss it.
can't miss it.
Actually, hold on. Studio update. How's the studio coming along? I know you guys kind of talked about it. Are you guys getting close to getting to a new studio?
I want to say that this Friday we'll pilot something. We are still in need of like a blue, like single seat chair, like one that kind of matches the red couch that we bought. And then we just need some curtains to kind of hang in the background, but we have all like the decorative stuff, which is a lot of fun. New camera, which it is the heftiest investment we've made as Dial H so far, but it's really impressive. It's really, really cool. I haven't fully messed around with it yet, but we got a Black Pocket Cinema 4K, and I'm really excited to have some new equipment, something more dedicated, something that'll improve the quality of not only like our show, but the streaming that we do at events, because it is all things considered, a pretty small device. And so I'm interested to see, like, to mess around with the settings a bit to see if we can get some clearer picture on matches. And then the last thing that's a little optional for us is some new microphones. I think our microphones are okay, but I do think we're at a point now where it's like we can probably afford to improve that. We've been using the same, like, $60 microphones. I don't even know what they are. Some Samsungs for years now. So I think it's time for an update. Like a while back, we bought those like DJI-2, like the wireless ones.
Mm-hmm.
And those were, I think that was like, it's like $250 for those, but those have easily been worth their cost. Like, I think it's the best investment we've actually made as Dial H, because we use those all the time for events. The sound is super clear. So anyone looking to dip their toes into content, probably the first thing I'd tell you to purchase is go get like one of those, how do you say the company name, Alec? It's like KSHIOE, the Casio, those cheap lighting kits. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
those,
bad, yeah, the cheap brand.
you can get like, a set of 2 to 3 nice lights for like 50, $60. And then it can come with like a backdrop as well. So that's like the first thing, like lighting is so crucial. But then on top of that, these DJIs are so user friendly. They plug into Lightning and Type-C, so if you just want to record on your phone, which honestly is a great starting point. So many phones have incredible cameras. Believe it or not, a lot of the time, Dial H just uses a phone for a lot of their stuff because it's simple to use and it's light quality. Like my camera kind of phased out, and now we've updated, but a good place to start, those DJI microphones are fantastic, and they're really, really cheap, super user-friendly. So little side tangent, but if you are looking to get into content, if you want to spend a couple $100, it's well worth the investment to do so, to just kind of have that step up in quality. Really easy to set up. Watch a 10-minute video on how to light stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but that's not the point of today, Alec. We've been going back and forth the last few days on old Hadari Yao.
We have.
And yeah, just some quick points about her is that she obviously does a lot of damage. She's a little harder to take down, and she's not entirely affected by Beetlejuice, which is kind of the boogeyman of the meta at the moment. Seeing that she is just a running shot piece, she can still target 3 people. She can still make an attack with Psychic Blast. We have things like the Universal Weapon coming up that will give her Pulse Wave, so Beetlejuice can kind of help out with that, because then she can't running shot Pulse Wave. The range is a free action. Can't be doing that. Can still do attacks.
Mm-hmm.
So, with Hadari Yao kind of, I think, being probably like, I'll say it. I'm going to go out and say it here, Alec.
All right.
The new Carnage Silver Surfer.
Ooh, I see it.
I think she's that good.
Yeah.
I think she's there.
I agree. Unfortunately, I think Hadari Yao is the lady to beat right now, and don't take that out of context.
Oh my goodness.
Sorry. Yeah. I think her Colossus Prime. I think with her being around, Colossus Prime is going to see a resurgence. I think. Not the saying that he like lost anything. I just think he kind of slowed down a little bit. Yes.
Yeah.
I totally agree. And
it's wild to say, because he's been incredible.
Yeah, and I totally agree. I think he's very, very solid. I think for some reason he kind of fell off a little bit. I don't know why.
I mean, at Worlds, I believe we only saw one Colossus in top 16. I actually don't even think he made top 8. I know Jackson Smith was the last person playing with Colossus, and I can't remember if he was top 16 or top 8. But yeah, he was not very prevalent on the biggest stage, which, yeah, it's a little crazy.
Yeah, 20 defense, 12 attack, 5 damage, right?
Yeah, 12, 12, 25. Reduced pen down the whole dial, 80 points, very stout. There's a lot of equipment that works with him, and a new, potentially really cool discovery that Alec and I have for you later in the episode.
Yes.
Yeah, so much more. But the focus of this episode is going to be, because there are actually some questions in the Dial H Discord asking, like, how do we beat Hadari Yao? And that's what really got me thinking on this. So, again, reached out to Alec, started spitballing. I think something we should do is establish, like, Hadari Yao's strengths and weaknesses. So just very quickly again, like, Hadari Yao really punishes teams that have a lot of figures, a lot of squishy figures especially. And the reason being is her damage power allows her to do her printed damage value to everything she hits. So if you assign 0 damage, she's still doing 3. So that means I target 3 people with my triple bolts, I'm pushing out 9 damage. So if you can find ways to minimize that, that's huge. On top of that, she has her trait, which allows her to only take a max of 2 damage from attacks if there are 4 or more characters without the deity keyword on the map. So that gives her some sustain. If she's at 100 points, it's going to take a bit to chew through. Now, one thing of note there, though, is that she does not have reducers on her dial, which will come into play later for kind of the strategies we'll talk about. Mm-hmm. She's also highly mobile. She has a lot of really good equipments. The universal weapon, the motorcycle, the hell cycle, trick arrows. There are so many things you can do to output even more offense through her. It's crazy. Like, her reach is insane too. If you play her on lower with sidestep, giving her running shot, she has a 6 square running shot with a 2 square sidestep and then a 6 square naturally for range. So that's starting in square 1. We sidestep 2 to 3, running shot to 9, 9 plus 6, 15. So she's almost full map reach just by herself. So, and she also has improved targeting, elevated characters, and hindering. So it's very hard to get away from her. So some weaknesses, though, Alec, that she does have is, again, the no reducers.
Yeah,
meaning that while she only can take 2 damage at a time, one thing I noticed in a match during the Icy Regional was Mystic's damage. Mystic's damage really hurts Hadari Yao. She wants to target multiple things. She's doing 3 damage, and it's penetrating. So another really good power against her is Invincible. So that is what really the basis of probably what I'm going to talk about is that Invincible and Mystics can really shut her down. And there are a lot of really good characters, either with Mystics, with Invincible, or both. And there's ways to kind of manipulate that into your favor. On top of that, finding characters with sustain. If you're playing against like multiple Hadari Yaos who can attack multiple times, if you have these reducers and if you have ways to heal, I honestly think you can win like the long game and really make it like punishing for her to attack you. In addition to that, when you're specifically building against something, I think another thing you need to analyze is the field, which, people have commonly referred to as like a gauntlet. So just in general, when you build a team right now, and Alec, kind of give me some of yours as well. The things that you need to be prepared for right now, 100% is Beetlejuice, Chair Panther, no question. Butterfly's everywhere. Kong at both 50 and now 200. The heart-shaped herb, phone booth, Man-Thing to an extent. I think Man-Thing is like really nasty, and if you don't have
right now
a good answer for him, it's tough. He's a 21 up close, a lot of the time like 22. And he has that stealth. He's only 5 clicks, but again, Invincible Mystics, like if you're not prepared for that, you need to have an answer for Colossus, and then probably like Fringe, but if you run into it, it can be so nasty. Hawkeye. That figure can output so much damage. Single targets, multi-targets, like he can really hurt you. Are there any figures that come to mind for you, Alec, that you think need to be on people's radar when they're building a team?
Yeah, so one of the big things that I've been thinking about in general is just Black Panther Prime. Now, this figure is like Death Metal Wonder Woman, but
Oh, yeah. Her too. You have to be prepared for Death Metal Wonder Woman. 100%. All right.
Yeah, no, you're totally fine. Yeah. Black Panther Prime has crazy good keywords for the most part. Has wild card team ability on top of the Wakanda, has traded super senses and leadership, and then if he hits his 4 through 6 leadership, he gets out the vibranium token on the side, and that doesn't really and that goes really big into play because he can revive people as long as he has vibranium tokens on the side, and it's protected pulse wave, so there's really no way you can get around it. So as long as you are continuing, and there's no max on the sideline as far as I'm concerned on these vibranium tokens, so you can really stack vibranium, whether you mine it with the vibranium object marker, or you bring in like Shuri, which we've been seeing a lot of Shuri lately because she's a really solid support piece for 30 points. He also just is a super solid attacker. He's crazy good. 12 attack with precision strike, 3 damage at wit. He drops kind of quickly, but he has charge flurry, and then when he attacks in between attacks, he can move 2 squares if you can do it. If you need to, and he ignores characters, outdoor blocking, and elevated.
Well, you say he drops pretty quick. At the same time, I feel like he's kind of stealthily, like very formidable. He can remove a vibranium token to reduce damage by an additional 1.
Oh, yeah.
That's solid in itself. Now, granted, penetrating damage, that'll just kind of burn through him. But he can also revive himself.
Yeah.
So there is like a level of, you kind of have to 2-tap him to get rid of him. Like one action can't kill him if he can revive himself. And now that is once a turn. But paired with things like Death Metal Wonder Woman, yeah, that can get real frustrating real quick. And it does present situations where I think you can be offensive and then say like, all right, deal with it, see what happens, and then hopefully you're still standing by your next turn and you can kind of inflict some big damage there. The meta has really, just kind of in the last like 5 years, it's crazy how support or support-esque powers have gone from being like completely useless, non-existent, to now possibly the most prevalent they've been since like 2004. Like the heart-shaped herb's incredible. The characters who revive are amazing. Figures that just don't die straight up. Especially, I think a big highlight too, defensively right now, characters that don't crux on stop clicks are massive. With the trick arrows being, now this is a free action, so here's Beetlejuice, blah, blah, blah. But the thing is, Beetlejuice won't be in every game. Not every team is optimized to bring Beetlejuice out. Can every team bring Beetlejuice out? Yes. But that's not always going to be the optimal decision. I actually think there's a lot more nuance to Beetlejuice than people are leading on. After I witnessed more matches, I'll be honest, I'm still not a fan of him, but I do think he's still very impactful. Let me be 100% clear. Like, this guy is S plus 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 meta. He's incredible, but he's less prevalent than you think. Can he throw a wrench in your plan? Should you build with him in mind? 100%. But it's not like a death grip on every single game kind of thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think
So
I agree. I think you have to be more concerned about main force Beetlejuice if you see it. You have a chance when they are on the sideline, with Beetlejuice on the sideline, that they roll really low, and then you can really, really easily just pick off 100 points if they don't have any way to answer that.
mhm.
So so in my practices, that's how I've really dealt. It's been annoying that to not have free actions. I get it. But this is where we're going to start to see the rise of hypersonic speeds or very
Yeah.
high range characters that don't need to move very much. Telekinesis as well. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, so I also think so Black Panther pair is really good. Obviously, we mentioned Death Metal, Wonder Woman. They complement each other with their revives, but also the secret not tech. It's not really secret, but Black Panther could just copy Wonder Woman team ability, and now they're both really hard to hit. And if they're next to a phone booth, that's even way harder to hit.
Oh my
Um,
gosh. Yeah, no kidding.
And then the other character that I was looking at too, and we kind of talked about this on the Dial H podcast, was She-Hulk and Black Panther complement each other very well because she's got like her own built-in. If she gets KO'd, she comes back.
Yeah,
Uh, so if you play all three of them, that's a lot of points,
it
but
is.
it's a lot of points that can't get KO'd.
Yeah.
So like,
And that right
yeah,
now I think is largely the direction of the game. I'm finding it tough to not have like Death Metal Wonder Woman on builds. And I previously stated, like, I'll be honest, I don't know what it is. I don't have any particular reason. I don't have a vendetta against the character. I just don't like her.
fair
Just
enough.
don't like it. I don't like the figure. But even I'm at a point now where it's just like, this is so good. She's the best option for Wonder Woman team ability. She gives you a leadership. She has a stop click. She can revive herself. She can revive other teammates. Like, the pressure that she creates essentially just by existing is, I mean, it's like incomparable to so many figures in her point range. Like, she is a gold standard 50 points. So it's really hard to compete with that.
Yeah,
Oh, another mention I think that you need to be prepared for, but I think this is old news at this point. Per Degaton, you got to be aware of him. If you're really dead set on positioning a certain way, like Per Degaton can just pick something up and say nope. So you have to be ready for that.
yep, totally. I mean, just that alone with especially if you're planning on running Major Brock's bunker and your opponent has just a way to kind of just block you. I've seen that happen so many times. They put you in a position where it's almost impossible for that figure to get out of it, out of like, because of how they position their terrain and where they position that character at now, and the utility, like very little super strength, very little high attack or high damage characters or something like that that you don't want to waste actions on to break walls so they can get up. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really big.
Yeah. I mean, it can just delay a game so much. It can completely wrench your strategy. Like, if you're planning on playing a taxi who carries the team up, Per Degaton can just say, well, you're going to waste a turn moving back over to him. And that alone can, cause so much impact on that one archetype. So again, something to consider. But
Absolutely.
yeah, I think, the big bads are definitely sustain pieces. And then Hadari Yao, I can't think of an attacker who is in the same class as her. Like, Carnage Surfer, I compare her to him largely because Carnage Silver Surfer offered so much sustain in addition to his damage output. It was really easy to heal him to close to top dial or top dial, like, relatively quickly. And then at this point, he's got a super long dial. He's got double rollouts or invincible and shape change traded.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, he's making the 2 attacks. So pushing out similar amounts of damage, like typically like 8 penetrating. And then Dariao's you doing 9. Granted, that's to 3 targets. Like, Carnage Surfer could do more isolated damage. He was 10 points less. He probably is the better figure, but there are situations where Hadari, I think, can, definitely take that trophy from him. But he's not modern anymore, so goes
True.
by Carnage Surfer. It's Hadari's time now. So, Alec, how do we beat this figure? What are we doing? What's going on?
Yeah, so I've been thinking about that a lot. Just what beats Hadari Yao, or how do you handle Hadari Yao? How do you handle her? How do you build to kind of at least contain her? Because I don't know if you can fully smother her, but we're gonna try. That's why we're here.
We're trying. And so these are not final teams. Critique them all you'd like. If you guys have new ideas, reach out to us. Message me on Discord, Facebook, whatever. I love hearing about this stuff. I'm back in building mode, baby. I've built some crazy stuff these last few days. And probably on the next episode of Dial H, you guys will get to hear about those. But tonight's Hadari Yao.
Tonight is Hadari Yao. How to beat the Hadari Yao. How to beat the goddess herself.
Or, how I like to call it, Hadari Youch.
Hadari Youch. I like that. I love that.
Tom and Jerry situation.
Yeah.
Here, Tom, we bought an AK-47. We're ready to go.
Absolutely. I was about to try and imitate that, but I really don't want to try it and just butcher it. So
That's fair. That's fair.
okay, so I think Hadari Yao really, you said it originally. I think she really gets crippled by Mystic's damage. Anytime a passive damage that just happens naturally, I think really, really hurts her. And she has no reducers, so you don't have to worry about it.
And to get her full value, you're targeting multiple things.
Exactly.
You could be dealing up to like 3 Mystics damage in the most optimal situations if you force your opponent into making an attack like that.
Yeah, and so another thing that I thought is, okay, so what makes her so freaking good? Well, number one, she can shoot through almost everything. And the big thing about her is she can't shoot out of adjacency as well. So my thought process was, okay, so how do you base her? Okay, well, she's also got improved movement characters, so you can't just like base her. She'll just walk away from you. She don't care about that. So Traffic Barrel really cripples her, and any kind of character that can carry the Traffic Barrel and also has plasticity, that can also just deal passive damage, is something that really, really hurts Hadari Yao. She can't make, because that whole the whole damage power is only on a ranged attack, so she can't do that up close. So,
good note. I didn't realize that.
yeah, sorry. Yeah, let me hold on. Let me fact check real quick.
I believe you.
Let me check my.
I'm here to argue.
Yeah, hits multiple characters with a ranged attack that deals damage. Okay, cool. So characters that I was thinking about, we have mentioned them. Would be Man-Thing, and I think with the avatar of Gaia, I really like that on him because he's just always in stealth. Because Gaia heals at the beginning of the turn, but a lot of people forget that this game, lines of fire to that character are hindered.
Ooh, yeah, that's awesome.
So this Man-Thing's just walking around in stealth. You can't outwit him because he's in stealth all the time. And he's got invincible, so he's going to be Hadari's going to have to put a lot of damage output to start doing damage.
Bread and butter, the Mystic's invincible. Oh, baby, he's our front runner. He's one of our stars. Man-Thing is the truth when it comes to taking down Hadari Yao, I think. I really like him into that.
See, he checks all the boxes for me. He takes hits from Hadari Yao. He can't be out. He can be outwitted, but he can't be outwitted.
You have to invest a decent amount to outwit him.
Exactly. He's got plasticity, and then on top of that, he has poison. Yes, and another great way of getting out damage to Hadari Yao is poison. Because if you can base her and you can put her in a place where she cannot easily break away, she's stuck. And she's going to be taking that damage. And also, if Man-Thing hits Hadari Yao with an attack, he's not taking Mystic's damage either. Which I believe... No, she doesn't have Mystics. That's right. She has Power Cosmic.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you don't have Man Thing, which if well like I don't know, if you're just like you know what, Man Thing's not really my style. I think the second best thing would be Daredevil.
I do like Daredevil.
I think
I love Daredevil.
I think the double you could do double devil basing plasticity, traffic
Hmm.
barrel, and then you can is that I don't know if that plasticity click the plasticity click is on poison. I,
Yes.
so you can also start dealing passive damage. Also, Daredevil really can't. I mean, like he can get hurt by Hadari Yao, but he can't get rid of him very easily. You have to
Yeah.
take
There's
multiple turns.
a good chance he's staying on the board. So he's a great lockdown figure. He's one of the best people to carry the traffic barrel
Oh,
just because it's like, all right, if I'm at, especially if he's 30 points, you're not taking him down easily. I mean, you can even roll like a 1 and it's like, okay, if you kill me again. But if he's on a team with something like Death Metal Wonder Woman, he also just has 50/50 super senses because he can copy the Wonder Woman team ability.
mm-hmm.
Daredevil is an absolute all-star. I really like him for just lockdown in general. And yeah, carrying the traffic barrel, it is brutal.
Yeah,
So brutal.
and he's a sneaky good attacker. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can put Bucky's arm on him, and I mean, a 12 for 4. That's not like anything to like
Throw Chthon on him too.
or throw Cthulhu on him.
Cart him around if you have Underworld to copy, which that's part of what I'll talk about later here. Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, on that hypersonic click, you can make a 10-point figure, a 13-5 with Bucky's arm Chthon.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just, it's hard to beat the value of that. And what's nice too is when you make that attack and you take the damage from Chthon, you actually click onto Perplex. So while Beetlejuice exists, having Perplex on your team is still a necessity because, again, he's not going to be out 100% of the time. You want to have him in mind, but you also, I don't think, want to completely condense your build into this is what I'm doing to not have to take free actions. This is what I'm doing specifically to take down like this 0-point thing that some teams just optimally won't take out or like put on the board. Granted, a lot of teams will be running Butterfly. There's no question. So keeping Beetlejuice out is easier. But if your opponent's dedicating 3 actions to bringing that Beetlejuice out, assuming they're not doing like Timebreaker shenanigans, there's a good chance that you'll have some opportunity, if your build is, somewhat correct, to take advantage of that. Because it is a tempo turn. Autonomous obviously just takes that away completely. Like, it's free to bring him out, basically free to keep him. But that's why, you have to have like costed answers to deal with it. But yeah, I think both of those suggestions are fantastic against Hadari Yao. Locking her down, dealing like damage over time with poison and mystics, and then also having ways to stay on the map or reduce her damage are the big ways that I think you can take her down. Another aspect of all of this, Alec, though, is this figure is only 60 points, sometimes 100 points. So your opponent's going to have some other nasty stuff on their build as well. So part of what makes this difficult is like you want to spec around like shutting her down, but at the same time, you do need to also answer those other things that we previously mentioned in Kong, at 200 points. Like, how are you dealing with that?
Yeah.
How are you dealing with that Colossus? And so one of the ways I thought of that I thought was particularly interesting is playing Colossus himself. Now I'm doing it a little differently. So Colossus has this weird, I don't know, he exists in a very weird space where obviously you want to take him down because he's this massive threat, but because he's so much to chew through, a lot of the times I see Colossus kind of get ignored. And when you ignore him, obviously he's going to get value out of that. So I wanted to increase that even more. I really dig this. I think giving Colossus the Avatar of Seth, so the legacy card from Black Panther, which gives him Poison and Mystics, 2 of our best friends on this episode. I think that sounds really fun because I think it's going to deter your opponent from attacking him even more. Now, granted, things like Kong at 200, he doesn't care about the Mystics damage, but a Kong at 50, you'll do that damage. It's penetrating. So you can deal penetrating, you cost more than him. So a 50-point Kong, he'll still get hurt by that a bit, which is nice. On top of that, though, there's a lot of stuff without reducers or with, like Impervious or something, like a reducer that doesn't reduce pen. that I think this is effective against as well. And typically with Colossus, eventually you will end up close to people. So having things like the traffic barrel on your force and locking them in with Colossus, saying like, all right, waste your time hitting me, and I'm also getting the benefit of poison now, assuming Beetlejuice is not on the board, is very nice. So I thought that was a pretty sick combo, a decent answer. But it is, I don't know if we'll have a complete team by the end of this episode. We'll pitch some ideas to you guys. You guys work on improving them. Let us know what you think.
Yeah.
But I thought that combo was really solid. Alex, should we talk about the most controversial one, the one that we've been in and out on? And honestly, I think the whole community has been as well.
Absolutely. Take us there.
Take us there. All right, I'll ride in.
Ooh.
Mr. Super Rare Ghost Rider. This guy is, I don't even know if he knows what he is. He's your leadership, which is nice. He's an excellent offensive piece if you want him to be. He's an excellent defensive piece pretty much all of the time. He just has regeneration and willpower traded. Like, this guy does so much. He protects your powers, which is the big thing that's keeping him in the discussion. Yes. With things like the universal weapon giving Hadari Yao Pulse Wave, that's horrifying. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that is horrifying. Her reach is crazy, a singular TK. She's going to get to Pulse Wave you. She has all those improved targetings. So giving Ghost Rider and adjacent friendly characters the ability to keep their invincible, that sounds very nice to me.
Yeah.
They don't get to keep their team abilities, though, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Only their powers.
I have to double check that. Yes, I know for sure they don't get their team abilities. I know that for sure.
Yeah. Ghost Rider and adjacent friendly characters can use their powers regardless of opposing effects. So the Pulse Wave kickback damage does not work against Hadari Universal Weapon, unfortunately. But what he can do is he can allow you to condense your team. He can allow your team to stay together. And that is pretty worthwhile. Typically, figures work better when they're closer together. So that defensive shell, that counter, is really strong. But it's so weird how it's like this figure does so much. You have so many options in his pilot. Like, you can give him Precision Strike, Battle Fury, so he's hitting like anything. Mm-hmm. You can give him Shape Change, Steel Energy, so he has more sustain. You can give him Outwit, Precision Strike. Like, there's so many things this guy can answer. And every time I build with him, I'm still questioning, like, is this figure worth 70 points?
That's always the question. Yeah, Ghost Rider lives in that anomaly of, like, is it a good 70 points, or is it a really good 70 points, or is it an okay 75 points? He's a very odd duck to figure out. Something that I've been looking at is you said the Precision Strike Outwit. I love that combo because I think, if I'm not mistaken, that gets around Ace, Legacy Ace, which I know isn't super prevalent, but in case you do run into it, you do have an Outwit, and you could just say, yeah, well, guess what? Ice can still outwit you, dude. Like, no, I don't know what else to tell you.
It is a really good option.
And the other thing that I was thinking about was, and I asked Barnstable, who is I would say is a very good judge, and I would say,
he's all right.
He's all right. He's all right.
He's decent.
If you need that extra punch, Ghost Rider has this ability that a lot of people don't use, but before he makes an attack, before rolling, you may choose that this roll can't be replaced or have its die replaced. If you do, Ghost Rider deals penetrating damage, and after resolutions, you deal 1 unavoidable damage if you missed all targets. Now, and if someone else has any other information on this, they could totally let me know or let us know. But you can declare that that you're going to hit, or declare that the roll cannot be re-rolled and it deals penetrating damage, and then you can just flip Rivalry and it automatic auto hits.
Interesting.
So you could hypersonic up, say, I'm going to declare before I roll that I'm going to that it can't be re-rolled, so you get no probs. No one gets probs, and all this damage will be penetrating. Okay? All right. I flip Rivalry, it automatically hits. So you can deal just 4 pen to somebody without rolling. And obviously, if you put like Bucky's arm, or if you put Cathan, or you have Empower or something, you can get more out of it.
Yeah, you can easily make that 6 or 7 damage.
Yeah, so I think rivalry. I think it's so funny. There's a podcast that was talking about who benefits the most from rivalry. I think it's Ghost Rider. I think you're going to see that ability
Ooh.
more often.
Ooh, that is a bold statement, Alec.
I know, I
I
know.
think we could do, I honestly think we could do an entire episode on just rivalry, like the amount of stuff you can do. I mean, personally, like, I know he doesn't have the best keywords, but like Ultra Chase Collector, just getting to pick, like, all right, I'm deleting you, goodbye. That seemed good. I'm not rolling.
Auto.
You're off the map. Goodbye.
I okay. Maybe I'm gonna eat my words, but I think yeah. That okay. There's stuff like that. Blue Beetle really also benefits because his attack is also like an 11, and if you could auto hit somebody, then you can go right into his delete button if you need to. But I still think Ghost Rider really benefits from this. Um,
Yeah.
so all of that to say, yeah, like Ghost Rider, Man Thing, and Colossus all staying close together. Just like Hadari Yao can't do anything.
It it leaves her like with almost no options. And I love that. Now, the issue that we run into there is no equipment. You're looking at 210 points, or wait, 150, 205 points for all of that. 80 for Colossus, 70 for Ghost Rider, 55 for Man Thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I just love that trifecta. And looking at those figures, it's like, I don't think there's a lot of things that can chew through any of this, like immediately. And if they do, I feel like I can hurt them afterwards. I feel like I can get some good damage off afterwards.
Oh
But
yeah,
it's so hard to remove it from the map. It is unthemed. As Colossus breaks it, he's not mystical.
but they're all
Man,
ruler. Oh wait, no, it's not. Not yet. My bad. Man Thing's not
so
ruler yet.
yeah. When is he going to be? When do they give him his crown?
When Jennifer Kale pops into play, because Jennifer Kale gives Man Thing all of her keywords, and she has ruler.
So you can theme this together.
You
I did
can't.
not explore the kale option, if I'm being honest.
I am a huge kale fan. I eat it every day. I don't know why I said that. Don't know why I said that. Okay, so Jennifer Kale is my workaround for how like Beetlejuice. So with Beetlejuice being around, I don't want to play around the idea that I can never use Perplex. However, with Jennifer Kale around, Jenny Kale just says, I don't need Perplex. I'm just going to go my values versus your values. And a lot of my values are going to be passively better than yours. Because of Chthon. I mean, like, rivalry just totally.
They are just 19 and 20, yeah.
Exactly. So, like, Colossus, Man Thing up close. Man Thing's 21 up close. Colossus is 21 from everywhere. You can't even hit Man Thing unless you see through hindering. And Ghost Rider is an 18, maybe a 19 if you decide to give him Chthon. I'm kind of torn on where to give Chthon at this moment. But Jennifer Kale puts in work. And also, if you need to, she also can get support if she takes a little bit of damage, but she also is a support figure that just doesn't die because anytime she's targeted, Man Thing just boops over and takes it for her.
Yeah.
And as we have established, he's probably going to be dealing like he's probably not going off the map in a couple hits.
Yeah.
So I like Jennifer Kale a lot.
And I need to read the wording on Kale here. So when Jennifer Kale will be hit, you may place a friendly character with Man Thing in its name in an adjacent square, and it becomes the hit target of the attack instead. So if Hadari Yao was to target Jennifer Kale and try to get rid of her early on, take some Mystics damage, Man Thing will take it.
Yep.
And if she's targeting Man Thing, I feel like you're already kind of winning. So it's like if they go for Kale, I think it's a piece you're happy to trade. Because if that's what you're focusing, it's like, I got 3 big scary ballers ready to ball.
Yeah.
No, they all hurt pretty bad, but they're all so defensive. And again, like, if you're in these situations where they've come to you, which I think largely when you're playing something unthemed, in this case, we still are themed. But if you are, like, I think you just have to factor in going second so much now. And the way that you do that is by having sustain. Like if your team can take a hit, I think that's a lot more valuable right now than being able to hit. Because it feels like just about everything that's currently being cycled through can do that. They can all do damage, but not everything can survive. And that's the big difference maker right now. That's why the value in Death Metal Wonder Woman, potentially Black Panther Prime, the heart-shaped herb, I mean, granted it's 0 points, so there's always value in 0 point things, but sustain, sustain, sustain. I think that's why like 200 point Kong is seeing that resurgence, is there's all these sustain elements that allow him to, yeah, just exist longer. And it puts you on a clock. So I'm a big fan of trying to create teams that counterattack. And yeah, I think Kale is a great addition. I can't believe I kind of brushed you off when you mentioned her. I was like, yeah, but why? Like we only have such little points.
Yeah, but
You're right. It's good against Beetlejuice because it kind of says like perplex doesn't matter as much to me. I already have like incredible base values. And yeah, yours are gonna stay where they're at. Hadari Yao is obviously a 12, so she's still needing like sevens, eights for the most part, which are hittable. You also cannot re-roll her. That's another thing.
yeah,
She needed that.
that's right. And but her other divine, her -1 defense doesn't kick in either because you can't modify combat values when attacking these characters. So it's always going to be the same numbers. It's going to be your 12 on my 20, or your 12 on my 19, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And so another thing I'd like to look at quickly in this theoretical situation is, yeah, so it's not optional. So that means if she wants to kill Kale, she has to shoot the Man Thing. And if she doesn't shoot Man Thing's getting hit anyways, because it's when she hits multiple characters with a range attack that deals damage, hit characters dealt less than 3 damage are dealt 3 damage instead. So if she assigns 0, it's 3. She doesn't get the option of it. She can't go 3-0-3 or 3-0-0, So if she single targets the Kale, Man Thing comes about. If she triple targets, I guess she could just not shoot Man Thing. But either way, Man Thing can be part of the equation.
yeah, I agree. I think Man Thing's really strong here. He's also really low points. 55 points is because if you decide, I don't want to go the other two route, I think Man Thing is still just a solid figure in general. Even if you want to go non-theme, or if you want to, he's very versatile.
Yeah.
He destroys 50-point Kongs if you see those. He kind of mollywops Beetlejuice a little bit. Now you have to get up close to him, and
He's relatively mobile though. I mean, he can free place 3, he can charge 4, and then giant reach 2.
yep,
Like it's really good. So a singular TK, it's he's there.
yeah, and I think Ghost Rider also handles Beetlejuice really well. Because Hypersonic don't care, don't care about any of your other stuff.
Another thing about Ghost Rider too we didn't mention, Alec, is he's also poison invincible. So if this now, so that was the big thing I was focusing on, Alec. So a component of my build with the Colossus, Ghost Rider, Man Thing trifecta. All right, this is perfect, guys. It doesn't get better than this. These 3 figures. No. One thing I was working at is Daredevil, who is a wild card. And we talked about him. He can have poison, he can have hypersonic, he can make him a stat beat stick, you can turn him into so many things. You can also give him Underworld TA with the Madison Bystander, who's only 10 points. And she also has a damage special, which might come up. Probably not, but maybe. And that's when an opposing character uses Outwit, they must target Madison if able. Could throw a wrench in someone's plan, maybe. Probably not.
Yeah, no, I mean I would rather that happen. I mean, that means they kind of have to deal with her if they want to do some outwitting, whether it's actually outwitting her or just being like, man, I need to get around that somehow. But by then, you can already copy all your Underworld team abilities, so you already had that out of the way.
So I was really looking at, keeping action tokens off my main people, which Ghost Rider, Colossus. Man Thing you don't have to worry about as much. He does have the 3-6 willpower because he is giant. So I was looking at Daredevil as like kind of a component to help base Hadari Yao or possibly others on the team. and then just go to work with like poison. If they have the Beetlejuice out, I can still hit really hard and I can still punish you for hitting me. It's weird because another aspect of this is that I feel like Mystic's team ability has largely been brushed off as just kind of, if you have it, cool, but it hasn't been like particularly useful. Whereas in the past, if we go back, 10 years, it's been a minute, building around Mystic's TA, like that used to be, I won't say like the most meta thing ever, but it was very much a thing that was like annoying and hard to deal with. Like back in the days where Invincible didn't exist and it dealt unavoidable damage as well. And it was copyable. So like Mystics plus Wildcard was a formidable strategy. And when they made the change that Mystics was penetrating, and then, they introduced other powers that get around it, it's uncopyable. Mystics has very much been like kind of a cherry on top thing, like, oh, I can do with or without it. But in the current state of things, especially when you're on higher point figures, with things like Kong existing, with things like Hadari Yao existing, I think there's a lot of value in Mystic's team ability. Granted, if you're playing against the figures that we're playing, it's not going to do anything for you. But you can still hit really hard because that's what all of these figures do. And they don't really care if you approach them or if I approach you. Either way, I'm liking my odds of staying alive, having my powers, having my combat values, and hopefully being able to sustain enough to continue to fight. The heart-shaped herb helps out with that. An equipment coming out in the collector's trove that is potentially worth looking at is the Bloodstone, which just gives a character regeneration and then also reduces your opponent's healing by 1. So you can effectively just kill off the heart-shaped herb, just say it doesn't really exist anymore. I like that a lot. I don't know who it would go on. It feels redundant to put on Ghost Rider because he just already has the traded regeneration, which I don't think many people take advantage of. But looking at Ghost Rider like more as a sustain piece, I was thinking it's like there's probably a lot of situations where you can get some value out of regeneration.
Yeah, so the thought process I've been having is Crimson Gem on Ghost Rider to give him super strength and protected mind control, but also
that is honestly really nice.
And
unless you're playing against Colossus, then it's useless.
Yeah, absolutely. But
right, because wait, opposing characters can't use safeguard mind control.
Yeah, so if you're facing another Colossus, it doesn't matter because everybody's just mind controllable in this state because you're gonna be playing Colossus and then they're gonna be playing Colossus, so it's just gonna be mind control central. But Ghost Rider can pick up the nifty traffic barrel, the phone booth with super strength. So he essentially can have people gather around him and give people unoutwittable, unnegatable shape change.
I do like that a lot.
And
it's really solid.
Yeah, so because that's the whole kind of thought process, right? Is everyone's kind of huddled around Ghost Rider for that first alpha strike. And there's no way, like, if Hadari Yao is attacking or whatever, you can still use shape change and all these other powers even during her pulse wave.
Yeah.
So giving people just more powers, you're paying 10 points to give them super strength. So if you hypersonic and punch somebody, you can even knock them into the wall. That's extra damage on Hadari Yao. If you want to hypersonic punch her, knock her back, and then finish your movement next to her, and then poison her on the next turn. There's a lot of stuff with the Crimson Gem. He also breaks through blocking terrain, so now you have 2 characters that can just run through blocking terrain, and specifically Ghost Rider can move through characters and elevated, so Major Brock's bunker just does not care. He does not care about that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Ghost Rider with Crimson Gem, I know there's other variants out there. I know like Kanji is very good on him. I know Bucky's arm is super solid, but I think we're trying to do the same thing that you said, trying to give him a little more sustain.
Yeah.
And other.
No, I really like that because it also then, I think, allows you to take a more offensive pilot with Ghost Rider. Granted, you could still take the shape change like for himself,
Yeah.
But in most situations, like I always try to think about, okay, if I'm playing against the team that I'm playing right now, like who is the first thing that I'm trying to take out? What's the first thing that I'm like trying to wrench in their plan? And with Ghost Rider, I think him just being on the map, instantly that's what people are going to play around. So one thing that this is a negative against Ghost Rider that I think really works against him is the amount of super strength in the game. Like super strength is probably one of the most necessary powers right now. Just straight up. I mean, I think there's some cases where it's more valuable than like a perplex or an outwit right now. Prob, probably not. Prob is you got to have prob. But the reason being is with Ghost Rider, yeah, you want people adjacent to keep their powers. You want to get that defensive value. So a lot of the time, I think players look at that as, okay, I'm going to run up with my super strength piece. I'm going to drop elevated under him, and he's going to have a tough time.
Yeah, never see that happen. Like, it happens so
You
rarely.
tell Alec about that and why I don't think it's as big of a negative anymore is I don't think people run as much elevated terrain as they used to.
Okay,
A
there
lot
you
of
go.
builds, I see people running like 3 blocking terrains, like
And
the coffin or the L-shaped one, whatever that is, the
the
machine.
machine, yeah. I've been seeing a lot of pews lately to give Giant Reach 4 to
Yeah,
characters. Yeah, I agree. There's not a lot of elevated.
people have, I think, kind of moved away from elevated, so I think it's less of a counter now. I also just don't think that Ghost Rider is in a lot of people's wheelhouses at the moment. So you have the advantage of, people are not really playing against him right now. I personally have not seen him on a ton of builds lately, if any. So you have that working for you. He's just such an in and out piece for me. Like there are times where I'm so high on Ghost Rider. I love him. Going into Worlds, I was like, yeah, there's no way this guy isn't like top 4. Zero chance. And I think he was on one build in top 8, if I'm not mistaken. I believe Andrea played him. So I was proven wrong there. But what's weird is like keep coming back to him and there's so much potential in him. And if the meta is just right, I think he can be a real pest. And I do like Crimson Gem on him a lot. Carrying around the phone booth and giving a protected shape change. I mean, the name of the game is rollouts.
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic. And yeah, even against Colossus, it's like, yeah, I don't really care about your battle fury. Like you're still gonna have to deal with this.
I was trying.
Now,
Oh, so sorry. Go for it.
oh, sorry, I was gonna say one drawback, and this is where another drawback, I should say, somewhere that I feel I'm losing value playing Ghost Rider is I found it really difficult if we're running the trifecta, so the Colossus Ghost Rider Man thing. I'm finding it difficult to find a TA for him to copy. Like I want Wonder Woman or Spider-Man, obviously. And your cheapest option is the common Miles, who just gives adjacent characters Spider-Man, which is nice. And he has probability control, which is also nice. But for some reason, I can't commit to it because I'm looking at other support figures and we have a very limited amount of points. Like I like things more than that, but that is also very good. Like having a copyable Spider-Man TA. Now, if you're not going the Crimson Gem route, you can give him Bucky's arm. He just has super senses. You can give him a pile of shape change. He's now double rollouts, carrying the phone booth, providing shape change for everybody else. So I think that's what makes Ghost Rider so interesting is that you can spec him into so many different things. And I think I tend to lean more towards the defensive route because I feel like I can get value out of him offensively when I need to. And I have these other 2 pieces on my team that I'm hoping can do more of the heavy lifting there.
Yeah, because in the end, Man Thing's probably gonna do a lot more damage. He has super strength. He can pick up stuff. He can do more damage. He can. I would probably in this scenario probably put Chthon on him, so that
Yeah.
he's a 13 swinging for 5 exploit. Ghost Rider rivalry trick happens only once per game, and you lose 5 points off of it. So
But a lot of the time, I mean, rivalry will probably be the first thing a Chair Panther shuts off.
oh yeah, 100.
So there is that.
I mean,
Rivalry Beetlejuice, goodbye.
yeah, rivalry juice is gone. So Colossus is Colossus is really good, and I think a lot of people are, like you said, I think they're going to kind of sleep on him because I think they get intimidated of just like I have to chew through this huge dial.
Mm-hmm.
So I think most people's things are going to be I'm going to go for Ghost Rider first. That's probably the easiest thing to attack. So I think making him defensive and sustainable is the way to go.
You know,
And plus,
another aspect of this team or the trifecta, just building around like these three things is ideally you want somebody carrying the herb, which is more than likely Colossus, can be Man Thing as well. You want Ghost Rider carrying the phone booth 100%. When you're holding an object, you can't be carried though. So now your action economy for each of these figures, like you have to take actions to like get them into place. So if you want to move to like the middle point of the map so that you're doing things the following turn, granted, like you're okay with doing that, I think, because you're willing to take a hit. Like I think I'm confident. Like Kong, come over and Quake. I don't care. Like let's do it. You know, Hadari, come shoot me, please shoot me. Colossus, come mind control me, make me punch something. Like I'm comfortable in I think all of those situations because I think if I'm clumped up, like I will have so much ability to fight back the following turn, like through a majority of that. So, but the mobility, like, having to take actions to move, and then it's like, okay, hopefully I can hit a willpower on Colossus. Man Thing, your odds are really good. You're not carrying him anyways because he's giant. Ghost Rider also has willpower. He also has leadership. So you have a lot of opportunity for like token removal on this team as well. But it is something to consider. Like getting this team into position when you're carrying the objects, like when you have it fully optimized, getting to the spot on the map that you want to will cost these characters like individual actions to do. So that's another like problem that I was kind of hitting when experimenting with this. And I'll be honest, I don't love that aspect of it. Like having to token up the people that you want to fight with the following turn is a little difficult. But I think this is a team that largely like you have to kind of bet on hitting your willpowers and your leaderships. Like you have to have some of those roll in your favor. Granted, most games you need that to happen anyway, but this team I think more so than others.
yeah, I think. Hmm. Well, so if we go the route of Colossus, Ghost Rider, Man Thing, Jenny Kale, Daredevil, and then Madison, and we just completely let's just disregard. So Seth on Colossus, Crimson Gen on Ghost Rider. We can either run Gaia or not run Gaia Man Thing, depending on sideline. Um, I I was running Khonshu on Jennifer Kale just to hit that one prob. Bucky's arm on Daredevil, and then the Madison Pog.
So I
Matt,
think yeah, with Ghost Rider picking up the phone booth, he's not getting carried. Man Thing's a giant, he's not getting carried. Colossus, we want him taking the herb, so he's not getting carried either. So I'm actually looking at the Madison stuff now, and I think she can go. I don't think we need the Madison bystander.
yeah, the Madison Bystander is kind of 10 points. So we could bump up Daredevil to another 10 points, make him 20 points. Um, I've also thought about just running Prodegaton on this team too. That would break theme. I kind of like this ruler thing we got going on. So I don't know. Um. Anyways, I think that's
Yeah,
enough
it
information.
is difficult. I think I'm also leaning towards breaking the theme as well because again, like I don't know how much I care about like going. I mean, obviously I want to go first, but I think it can go second and be okay. So another option, like Perdegaton was another figure. Yeah, I was 100% looking at. I think Space Ghost is a reasonable option as well. Again, though, that's a wild card. Daredevil's a wild card. Ghost Rider's a wild card. Like I
Mm-hmm.
need to have some value there, and there's just nothing on there. So it's a team that I don't know how well this is going to work, but I feel like if I was sitting across from it, I'd be looking at it and going like, how can I effectively damage this? And if they go all in on Ghost Rider, now granted, yes, you can probably kill Ghost Rider in one turn, like that's not completely unreasonable, but it's not like a surefire thing either. Taking advantage of that traded regeneration and then advantage of the other attackers on your team to kind of bail them out. Like I think if your opponent focuses Ghost Rider, you're actually happy about that. And in a weird way, I don't see them going against anybody else. So yeah, the last points of this build, I like Kale. You've convinced me on her. I think Daredevil's a shoe-in as well. So you have like in the realm of like 30 to 50 points to play with. I don't know what it is, but I'm curious to see what people think of this idea, this kind of strategy to take down the Yao.
I agree. I think we're cooking something good here, man. I think this is like really good start. I think it's a lot of all gas, no brakes, but the support that you do have, Jennifer Kale with Khonshu, in my opinion, is a prob that is very, very good. A 6 range prob on top of that. It's a pretty long range prob. And also just shuts off stat reducers and stat modifiers. And also can't die as long as Man Thing's on the board.
Yeah.
And positioning and stuff like that. So granted, there's also some finagling thing, knockback still a thing, knocking people away from Ghost Rider is kind of funky, but I don't think a lot of people plan to do a lot of knockback. So anyways, Ian, thank you so much for being on here. I really appreciate your team building insights, and we were talking for a long time, and I'm glad we actually got to make this happen.
Yeah, man, I'd be down to do more of this. I really like taking not even necessarily like specific builds. This time around it was more specific, but I really like trying to extrapolate an archetype, like really get the full value out of it. And this is hopefully people find interesting. Hopefully they see it as something that maybe other people aren't considering as much, or maybe it's something they are considering but just not quite in this light. So another quick note just on that, I think Khonshu on Daredevil is also fine as well. He's a double vase figure. You give him stealth, he can body block. He'll stay around too, but probably better on Kale. We're banking a lot on Man Thing. Man Thing's doing some heavy lifting.
No, I do like that. That would probably be my second choice for Khonshu on, because the one thing that this team does severely lack is probs. So giving some type of access to at least one prob is really nice. Even though I think most of these characters are going to be swinging and hitting, because it's going to be my 12's attacks versus your printed base values. So I like 7s. I like 6s better, but rolling 7s or higher, that's in my 12 on 19s. I feel like that's
just that's damage that this team can output. It's like your rolls become less important, which anytime you can mitigate rolling, typically that's a good thing.
Yeah, and plus Colossus is going to be mind controlling sometimes, so just using other characters against their teams. So if you get a hold of that Hadari Yao and you're able to do the exact same thing to their team, that sounds super solid to me.
I love it. Well, yeah, thanks for having me, Alec. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
If you guys at home are unfamiliar, go check out Dial H for HeroClix. Calder and I do a show there. We do a weekly podcast. We do videos. We do unboxings. We cover events, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, if you guys want more specific building, I know that's not really the Dial H show. I'd be happy to do this more. Send some requests, send some ideas you have. Let's get to work.
Let's work.
Break modern, baby.
Breaking modern. Is that what we're gonna be calling this? Breaking bad.
Breaking modern. Yeah.
Modern.
Who's Jesse? Who's Walter then?
Dude, I'm freaking Jesse. You're Walter.
All right, sick. I'll take.
All right. Well, until next time, thank you again, Ian. Obviously, if you're listening to this podcast, you probably know Dial H, but please give them a like. They do so much for the community.
Oh, come on. It's not that bad. Not that much.
All right. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you guys in the next episode of Breaking Modern.
Breaking Modern.
I love it.